How have you found the experience of building automations in a Home Assistant? Like, did you find it intuitive? Do you think that there are, like, you sort of needed to Google around to find out what does this mean? Or was it intuitive enough for you to go, okay, yep, this is a action, this is a condition, away I go?
It really, honestly, it made really clear sense. You kind of have to be a little bit more defined when you use things like entities, like using user groups or entity groups and entities by themselves was a little bit confusing. Once I started setting up groups, it started making a lot more sense, because what I was doing originally was if I wanted to turn on 3 lights in my room, I was having the light turn on call service, and I was 3 times, for one for each individual entity, and that was just not cutting it. And then you could just say all the lights in my room turn on, and that's super nice.
Yeah. How did you find the integration between Home Assistant and, I think you said you're using Google Home, right, at home? So
yeah.
How do you find, like, did you find that to be easy, difficult?
It was very easy with Home Assistant Cloud. Setting it up with Nabu Casa. Yeah. Honestly, I set it up by myself, and I used like the keys and stuff, and it worked. But once I set up Nabu Casa Cloud, it was like instant. You wait a couple seconds, and then it just links up, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made it very streamlined.
And in general, I mean, I think everybody knows this. Phil and I both use Nabu Casa for exactly that, right? And again, outside of supporting the project too, so it's pretty cool.
Another reason why someone, really should consider it is because where I live, my ISP changes my public IP address, and so when I go to port forward and actually set up like VPN access to my Home Assistant, it'll just change after like a month, and I lose complete control of my Home Assistant no matter where I'm at, and I just can't live with that. And
I mean, the other thing is too, you mentioned, Dean, you're in technology, right? So it's not overly difficult to figure out if you didn't want to do it that way or whatever it is, right? You can set up dynamic DNS and blah blah blah, whatever. But the other thing is you don't necessarily have to, right? It's there's still power bills people have to pay and stuff like that. The more things you run, obviously, the more power you're using, so on and so forth. So I don't know, something else to consider too, right? So
yeah. And I've started looking into like dynamic DNS setup and stuff, because I'll get into this when I talk about my first experience, but I have a server setup, and I run a lot of services on like Docker containers, and that's how I actually started with Home Assistant.
Yeah.